Niger, good evening to South Africa, where Vladimir Putin has landed and no one has arrested him, and he will leave, no one will arrest him. So good evening to all those who are watching us, and I have this appeal to make. As today we shall be talking on public contract. People should not misquote us. We are talking based on the fact that we love our nation. We are talking based on the fact that we are patriotic to our nation. We are talking based on the fact that we are allegiance, we have paid our full allegiance to our nation, with land of promise, land of glory, and deep endowment forevermore. Promises are being made, promises are not being kept. And the question we are asking on this public contract issue will be how and what needs to be done for us to keep land of promise and deep endowment forevermore.
Welcome.
Good evening, Lasha. It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening to my co-panelists, to Jarvis, to my brother Ndiwum, Emmanuel. It's always a pleasure to be called to duty to discuss about issues that plague the nation. And we pray that this moment, while we discuss about public contracts, which explains one of the reasons why we have been abandoned where we are, we have been abandoned to our mess. We pray that as we discuss, people should not misquote us to be unpatriotic, but rather summarize the patriotism in us, which is to point out to reality and speak truth to authority.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. We also have with us Ndiwum Emmanuel. Ndiwum Emmanuel is one of our regular resource persons here on My Media Prime Television. Good evening and welcome, sir.
Good evening, Lasha Kingsley. Good evening to my co-panelists, and good evening to the lovers of Prime. Permit me give a special greetings to the people of Kumba, hospitable people. I spent some time with them last week, and of course, I was almost feeling like, let me just remain there. I cannot give you back the microphone without saying a very great one to the people of Kom, where I come from, receptive, industrious, law-abiding citizens who believe that the theory of community self-reliance is what at this moment can push Cameroon and any other community forward. For this weekend, you must have heard over news outlets that the route to come that was blocked by those we call Amber, the day they declared that the road was open, there's a natural disaster. The road Nkoine linking Fundong and Jinicom was blocked. The people came out in their diverse dynamism, and including even the Palace of Com, and it worked so tirelessly for 2 days, and the road was cleared. I give a shout out and kudos to them, because that mama, that child, that papa, everybody was involved and nobody was left out. And fortunately, there was nothing like partisan participation. So the people came out as one person for a single goal, for a common goal, and the goal was achieved. So applying Bamenda to Fundang now, it's very possible without any hurdles. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. We also have on the line to Yaoundé, Dr. Sama Sylveinus, who is a junior parliamentarian and also UN ambassador for Goodwill ambassador. He's joining us on the line to Yaoundé. Good evening, doctor, and welcome. Apparently, doctor is still struggling to join us on tonight's edition of the program. Jarvis, I begin with you on this very important topic that we are discussing tonight. We are talking about public contracts, how they are awarded and also executed. Let us begin with the process of awarding these contracts in Cameroon. We go sector by sector. We have problems when it comes to road. We have problems when it comes to other major infrastructural development that some individuals have won the contract. We also have contracts that have to do with supplies to government offices in the country. There are a number of rules. Before I dive into the topic, there are a number of good principles governing public contracts in Cameroon, notably the principle of transparency, the good management principle, the prevention of misconduct, compliance and monitoring principle, and of course the principle of accountability and control. Jarvis, what is happening in Cameroon that major projects have been abandoned? Between 2000 and 2018 and 2021. 38 major projects have been abandoned in Cameroon, or public contracts have been abandoned.
You know, Lasha, the forebearers of our nation who came up with the anthem saw the vision and understood the nation, and what we are witnessing is a prophecy of what they have foretold us, and which we sang. You permit me to start within this topic by giving a preamble where I'm coming from, so that I will land to your question. If you go to the beautiful rendition of our anthem, you will see it is, O Cameroon, cradle of our fathers, the holy shall reign in our midst, they now repose. And there is a part I love so much there, which states that thy worth no tongue can tell. And if you look at what is happening in the contract sector, no tongue can tell. The worth of abandoning contracts, and also the procedures of the non-respectance of procedures, no tongue can tell. No tongue can tell because we are counting 60 years. We don't have good roads since after we regained our independence. We are counting 60 years since after we regained an independence. Some major divisions and other towns and villages in this beloved nation cannot boast of electricity supply since the day we regained our independence. To those who can even boast of this energy supply, have been periodical. Now to your question, what happened? That we have 38 major projects abandoned, following the fact that the principles are clear about transparency, about follow-up. The principles are clear about location of this contract. It all boils down to what I have been saying ever since, that those people who give this contract sometimes don't give the contract because they think that those who, when it's executed, will benefit them. Lasha, this is it. The day we shall begin to have statesmen in Cameroon, and not officials, not government officials, that day all these contracts shall be executed. I want to go number one. You talk about transparency. Of course, these contracts are being announced when they are given. We read them on media every day, so it's transparent. They're announced. But now, transparency in terms of announcement or in terms of awarding the contract and the execution, that is where the bone of contention is. Because we have a kind of window dressing. Yes, the government officials will say we announced this contract, it's announced on newspapers and TV stations, and people tender for this contract. And also the question now is, what are the criteria under which some of these contractors are being selected, and what are the follow-up procedures? They will tell you that no, there's a follow-up that you must execute. You start the contract, you must execute before a certain amount is given to you. But Lasha, this is what happened within the contract cycle. I spoke with one of the contractors during the president's visit in 2014 in the southwest region, when contracts were allocated. Remember that if you look at the president's visit in the southwest region for the cinquantenaire, a lot of projects were given, major contracts were given. The first one was the construction of Moya Road linking up Buya town. The next one was the one in Sase, the road from the what we call the famous memos right down to Limbe. Sase passed through Sase to Limbe. Lasha, if you look at the quality of work that was done on that road, is poor. And the question that many the reply you get from these people is that, you know, the contracts are given and people are asked to pay a certain amount, and those who are doing the follow-up receive their own amount. So you end up, assuming you take a contract for 2 billion, you end up paying middlemen close to about 1.5 billion. Then how will you execute the contract? You have to use substandard material. You have asked a very beautiful question. Why is it that with all these laws that you have read, we have close to 38 major projects abandoned? It is bad faith. Let me tell you, Lasha, Chinese government, the French government, the US government, the UK government will give you loan for 100 years. The people who are signing the loan, they will give you loan. And the loan payment you start paying after 100 years. None of these persons who give you the loan will be alive to recollect the loan. To our leaders in Africa, our leaders will collect this loan and embezzle them because they feel that in the next 100 years they will not be there to enjoy the projects that are already there, so they should misused it. So it all comes with bad faith. We don't have good faith in executing contract. And I want to also tell you that the method in which these contractors too also operate is a two-way street. You blame the awardee and you blame the contract. But the people, the common man, has a role to play. When a contract is given to your community, when you go to all these areas of execution, you go there, the placard is there, like the construction of the toll gate now in Miselele, the new toll gate which is under construction. Go there, you see the placard, the contractors, the year of execution, the funding of the contract, and also the year in which it will operate before it's handed over. It's there. I think it's 18 months. Every contract has that, but it's always abandoned. Why? Because the contractors who gives this contract are the person who are supposed to play the oversight. Let me break it down. Most government parliamentarians who are supposed to play the oversight, who are supposed to call these contractors, for example, the Minister of Public Work, the Minister of Water and Energy, all these ministers are supposed to go before the Parliament to defend budget. They're supposed to show their level of execution in their different ministry. And and they give our contract. Who takes this contract? There are a lot of parliamentarians who have road construction companies. Now, what do you expect a parliamentarian to come and stand in front of a minister who he has collected contract and to prop the minister? I think there's a way in which we must be honest. Parliamentarians are not supposed to. We need to reenact laws that will do effective separation of power. We don't have effective separation of power, and that's why you see that parliamentarians will take contract in government officials, civil servants, whom they are not supposed to do any business, but they will have companies that receive contract, and some of them, they are their friends that come for supervision, and of course, you scratch my back.
Okay,
Scratch your back.
Jarvis, I will come back to you. Ndiwum, Emmanuel, I'm with you now. We are talking public award of public contract. There are laid down procedures or rules that have to be followed before a contract is awarded. Are those rules really being respected in Cameroon?
Okay, I have with me here 4 tips that needs to be respected or followed before a contract is being awarded to a contractor. First, proof of experience. The second one, transparency, as you rightly said. The third one should be adequate funds. And the contractor must work independent, that is to say, void of no influence from a government official. Let me come back to the first one, proof of experience. You must be able to present a CV that surpasses the one of another contender before you are selected. It has not been the case in Cameroon. That is where I buy the idea of Tamai that instead of engineers to become contractors in our countries, parliamentarians have become contractors. Ministers have become contractors. Classroom teachers, government school teachers, for the most part, maybe people are not aware, are contractors. The second point, we have transparency. For a contract to be awarded to a contractor, that contractor should have an office, a license registration, and a known capital declared to the awardees, and an office where every Cameroonian can gain access into such an office. But that has not been the case. If you ask me today, who awarded the contract to the contractor who is working on Bamenda Babajo Road, honestly speaking, I cannot get access to his office. I don't know. That one maybe you people will.
But the placard that they put on the road, the signposts and whatever.
Look, let me take a local example now. I know 1 year ago I took this example on this platform, and people back from Fundong were complaining, but later on they came to their senses that I knew what I was saying. That placard has often been there, but after that placard, the difficulty is the traceability to reach them. These are things that if you go on the field, you verify them. Just like when we were complaining about Lokpom, Opita, the cell route, they went and showed us the placard. We went after the placard, and the office was nowhere to be found. This is no exaggeration. Now, when we talk about adequate funds, we have heard how contractors have cried out foul that this contract was abandoned because they did not have adequate funds. the government officials who were supposed to disburse these funds have not disbursed the funds. But when you look at Article 72 of the Public Contract Code, what does it say? For you to take a contract, you have to measure the money halfway and the money upon completion, yes, and declare what you have in your account first before the contract is awarded to you. So that the awardee of the contract is very sure that even midway, you must have covered the contract before they can come in. Because public contracts are not like private contracts, where negotiations are different. Now, in this case, we ask ourselves the question, how was the contract awarded to you, whereas your bank account statement could not back you up before you abandon it halfway and you start crying?
Not even halfway.
Yeah, no,
not even halfway.
Ndiwum, we have had cases. We've had cases and testimonies of private contractors who have said that after executing the project,
the government has failed to pay. I'm coming to that.
After evaluation, they say the project was not well,
was poorly executed.
Some money
I am
not
coming
somewhere.
I am coming. Let me tell you. Anyway, let me just answer that one squarely. In such a case, we know the people who are dealing with them in Cameroon. It's supposed to be, before they offer you a contract in Cameroon, you have to assure them that there is a percentage that is supposed to be there. Oh.
Is that supposed to be that way?
No, it's not. So we are saying it is illegal. It is illicit. But the problem now is that some contractors will accept. At the end, they will refuse that percentage, and then there will be a daggers drawn with those who are holding the rope up there. The agreement has failed. Now I'm coming, please. We have enough time. Now, let me just give you a simple example. Who can confidently in Cameroon tell us how the contract was of during the COVID-19 of the masses, the production of the chloroquine was awarded, and to whom was it awarded? What was the turnout of the award of that contract? Who can independently say it today? 1, 2. Who can tell us who awarded the contract to McGill that led to the Olembe scandal that I have been crying for 1 year? That we need to know first before chasing McGill, which is the win. Let us know the person who awarded the contract to McGill until date.
No, but the person that is supposed to is the Ministry of Public Contracts now. Ministry of Public Contracts.
No, in the case of McGill, a sister station went into the affair, made all the investigations, and at one point they were called to order because they discovered that it was not from the direction where we were thinking. I don't want to disclose the name here. So I'm telling you that corruption, bribery, tribalism, nepotism has led us to where we are tonight, because the contracts are no longer given in terms of competence to be executed, but it is given because you come from my tribe, you come from my family, you are my in-law, you are my dad. It is sad, it is regrettable, but we find ourselves where we are today. They will tell you that the Bamenda Babajo Road the contract was awarded. Now, we have been hearing every day budget being defended in this country. Yet, if the contractors were at the fault, why have they not been arrested? Before you take the microphone, let me cite the last example. Look at the route linking Bonamusadi, Daido, executed by the military engineering corps. 1 month, 3 weeks later, it is all scattered. Nobody is coughing, which means that there is something fishy somewhere. If we were to go by the right way, all these people, we have to enlarge our prison yards, because in the Third Republic, all these crimes, we are noting them down. They will not disappear just like that. We are taking note. When we shall take over the Third Republic, accountability that was not given yesterday will be given today and tomorrow.
So, Derick, looking at the rate of abandonment or poorly executed contracts in Cameroon, do you have the impression, like Tamai Jarvis and Ndiwum Emmanuel, that the procedures or the laid down procedures are not being respected? If you come to Douala, you see the east and the west entrance into the city of Douala. The project not executed or poorly done. Every day we talk about embouteillage or traffic between the new bridge and, of course, the Cocoa Junction.
Thank you very much, Lasha. To me, it's not the fact that those principles are not respected. It is the fact that even in the process of the respect of those principles, there are bygones, there are big guns in the system. If you want to go squarely, you realize that the process of contract awarding in Cameroon may follow the process, but it follows the process to favor those who work in the system. If it follows the process to favor those who control the system. Ndiwum just cited something there with the Magiu, the
company that took the contract for
yes,
the Olembe Stadium.
Olembe Stadium, which was initially budgeted for 150 billion, exaggerated, firstly. And then it
no, when you say exaggerated,
no, it's exaggerated.
You are not an engineer, and so
no,
you're
no,
not.
No, we have seen in Gabon. We have seen in Gabon, which is using the same currency with Cameroon, where we played in studios. No, that's true. That's true. We have seen in Gabon, the stadiums in Gabon costed less than what was projected in Cameroon.
No, so maybe the climatic condition is not the
no,
same.
let Jarvis has a mic. Let him go ahead. No, let's get serious.
You know that we are in an abnormal country. Let's speak it the way it is. If Gabon was a normal country, we'll be speaking normally. In Gabon, the stadiums in Gabon using the same currency with Cameroon costed less. In Cameroon, Olembe, which was initially exaggerated for 150 billion, is presently at 300 billion, still uncompleted. Because Olembe was programmed
50
to
more
be
billions were
it was programmed to be a complex. Till date, we are still to understand where the complex went to. The complex is nowhere to be explained, and the 150 billion initially programmed is around 350 billion program, but not to be executed. It is a way to explain to you that in Cameroon, contracts are not given to those who can execute the contracts, but they are given to those who know those who can cover them when those contracts are not executed. You are talking about the entrance and the outway to Douala, to the southwest region of Cameroon, where that road has not yet been delivered. But trust me, Lasha, all the irons that are protecting the pedestrian path have been destroyed when that road has not been delivered. To shock you, if you leave Douala, you're going towards Ndobo, Bikoko. There was a time where all the business places were being cleared. And the reason why those places were being cleared was that that road needs to be expanded. If you go back there, those same places are being rented. I don't know by who, to business people, and those business people are paying money to some people that we cannot explain. The question is, why is that happening? It is because that contract was awarded by somebody who has a certain, inverted commas, open and close, immunity. A certain person who knows somebody that can cover them up. If you, in your editorial, can cite that from 2018 to 2023, 18,
not 18, 38.
I'm underestimating it. 34 contracts have not been executed. I'm telling you that if you are citing that 34 contracts from 2018 to 2023, which is less than 5 years, has not
21
yes, have not been executed, which is less than 3 years, then if we go back to 2010 to 1990 till now, you realize that there are many contracts that have not been executed, and nobody has been called to the question decks to answer why those contracts have not been executed. Why? Because those people who carry out those contracts, they belong to the sphere to the area of those who have immunity, and contracts are awarded based on the fact that if you can give me a certain percent and then I will cover you up. That explains why the ions towards the double road, all of them are down, because standard materials were used, and nobody is coming to question you because you have already paid your tithes. Once you are faithful in paying tithes to those who offer you the contract, nobody will come after you, because in Cameroon the only time they come after you is when you eye the number one seat. Once you don't eye the number one seat, if you do nothing that questions the position of the number one statesman, you are safe, you are transparent, and you are a god.
So, Derick, what explains this phenomenon? We also, you know that most of these contracts, Cameroon borrows money from their international partners, but why do these donors continue to give the money to form? If you take, for example, the road, the Babaju-Bamenda stretch of road, we read elsewhere from other sources that monies have been disbursed severally for that same project. We see the World Bank and the other international monetary institutions coming in to fund the project. What explains this?
It boils down to politics, and not only politics. Trust me, Lasha, when I'm telling you here and now that when the World Bank is giving Cameroon loan, it is not only giving that loan for developmental projects, it is giving loan to hold down Africa and to hold down Cameroon accountable. Unfortunately, we take loans to carry out deadweight investments that do not generate income, investment that the money at the end up being embezzled. Trust me, Cameroon is not a land of accountability. It is not a land where people explain what they have done with the taxpayers' money and with money taken for loans. If we were a normal country, remember I stated here that Cameroon is not a normal country. We behave abnormally, because every normal countries, when you take loan, you account for it. If the World Bank keeps giving you loans, the World Bank will come up and come back in the form of mobile money tax, in the form of orange money tax, because they believe that what you are doing with that money cannot pay back their loans in the nearest future. They come back through telecommunication company to tax you through mobile money, because they know you will not pay the money, to tell you that if you are going to send money to your child schooling in the University of Boya, you will send the money through mobile money, you are going to pay tax so that it will help to pay the loans. When that child goes to withdraw that money, that child is going to pay tax to help pay the loans. Because when these banks gives you loan, at one point in time they study your ability to pay back the loan. If the ability is not there, they come in to impose a methodology which they can use to pay back the loan, and you have no other option but to follow the payment procedure.
Jarvis, during the award of this contract, let's take for example the route, the auto route Yaoundé Douala. An official came out to try to explain to Cameroonians why a bag of cement could cost over 15,000 francs CFA.
Lasha, let me be very honest with you.
That road has been there for over 10 years.
We have been going to Yaoundé and back, going to Yaoundé and back, hoping and praying that one day we will complete it. Lasha, if they explain you Cameroon, you understand. There are two things. Either you never wanted to waste the time of that person that was giving the explanation, or you do not understand anything. The truth is, you just hit the nail on his head. A bag of cement. You explained to us that it's 15,000. Do you know how much a tip of sand was in the construction of the stadium? 700,000. 700,000. Why are we even going far in construction? Come to stationary equipment in offices. Do you know how much a laptop costs in government offices?
I will still come back to that.
Do you know how much a pen
no, Jarvis, I'm coming back to that. Let's focus on the example I just cited.
For this example you are giving, how on earth, anyway, let me moderate. I explained to you from the beginning that we don't have statemen. Statemen are those.
But most of these companies are foreign companies.
Lasha, it's not the issue of companies. Who brought these companies? Who signed their engagement? How were they? I told you that the issue of transparency is a window dressing. There's transparency in one form. That is when the contract is to be awarded. We are made to understand in public, right? There's a public announcement that a contract will be awarded. Not so. That's transparency. The second aspect is when the contract actually starts for the execution purpose. You see a big there. It will tell you who received the contract, the duration of the contract, the funding of the contract, and it will also tell you the person who is executing the contract. Also, all these things are there, right? Now that's transparency. Now, in terms of now how the contract was actually awarded, there's no transparency in it. What criteria, as Ndiwum said.
No, but when you are talking about that, so what is the role of the Ministry of Public Works? Because according to Article 47 of the June 2018 Code of Contract, Cameroon Public Contracts Code, like I earlier mentioned, the Ministry of Public Contract has principal rule, the external control of the execution of public contracts. As per that article 47.
There's also another article Ndiwum cited, that is Article 772, which states that you must show proof of the
So the question now is the ministry that is supposed to...
No, I'm using the same Article 72.
The ministry that is supposed to watch over the execution of this contract. The ministry, where was the ministry when these people were putting the bag of cement and whatever stuff at that amount of money?
You cited Article
47
and I'm citing Article 72 to state that if Article 72 was respected, we will not be talking about going to Article 42. 47. Article 72 is that you must show proof and also must show a viable bank account that you can sustain this work for a number of period of time. Half gone before amounts given to you. Now this is what we have. This is what happened. Most of these foreign contractors, who are their guarantors? That's the question that you must ask. Who pitched for them? What is the criteria under which they are fully awarded this contract? We are told transparency. There are two transparency here, but we forgot to understand that there are three stages of transparency. There's transparency in terms of the award of contract, in terms of the announcement of the contract. We hear it every day.
But there are different. You have the invitation to tender.
No,
you also have restricted tender.
Yeah,
there are different restricted tenders. There are so many of them.
When it's in the public
open invitation.
That we see it every day, that the minister of that announces that tender people should tender for this contract. That's transparency. When it's to be executed.
So now the people are coming to take. Do you think that if Tamai applies, I apply, will I be given the contract based on those principles?
That is where Article 72 comes in. That's where Article 72 comes in. But the Ministry of Public Work, the question should be, do they follow Article 72 of our God-given Constitution? That is where the bone of contention is. If they follow Article 72, there are two things. One, if they follow Article 72, now, which means that these companies are either faking what they have, because if you actually follow it and contracts are abandoned from the sometimes, yes, you have the right to pursue them. Have you ever heard how many of these contractors have actually been followed legally that they abandoned a contract? It's a open-ended, it's a rhetorical question. How many? Because if Article 72 is respected, then I must show proof, you show your document, you show this, you show that, this, okay, I haven't undergone, I haven't checked this, that. You have been found both worthy in financial sustainability and in experience to be awarded this contract. Therefore, if you violate the contract, because the clause says you must go halfway, you must show proof that you have the financial sustenance to go halfway, to carry the project halfway. Sometimes, Lasha, these projects are abandoned just from the beginning. Sometimes
are the funds there? Do the contractors receive the fund? In
Lasha, you don't receive funds. This is what happens when you take a contract, government contract.
But let's take the case that these administrative bottlenecks that we had, Ndiwum Emmanuel talked about a while ago, that you are asked to give a percentage before you even start executing the contract.
Lasha, if you talk about foreign companies, right?
Somebody asks you to pay before they say, okay, the contract to fix the route between Babenda Babajo has been awarded to Tamai Javi. Tamai Javi has to pay in the 30% agreed.
Lasha, you talk about foreign companies. Tamai Javi owned is a foreign company, right? Do you know the board of trustees of these foreign companies? Some of them are parliamentarians. Some of them are ministers. Some of them are top government officials at the board of trustees.
Hiding behind.
Now, who are those that will oversight these companies? Board of trustees, who are government officials to oversight the company. No child points the father's house with the left hand. And to every child, the mother is the best cook. So what do we expect? Come now to the implementation itself. I was talking about the method in which this contract awarded based on 72. Now, if you say 72 was respected by the Ministry of Public Work, if the Ministry of Public Work had actually done their groundwork and legally look at the documents submitted by these contractors in all fairness and award them the contract, then there are two things now involved. Either the documents submitted to the Ministry of Public Works that were vetted were wrong documents. It means these contractors fake it, because you can only fake a document not to have the financial funding. Lasha, this is how public contracts are executed. For the ordinary man watching us in the different parts of the northwest, southwest, west, east, whatever, all the parts of Cameroon, to understand is that if I take a contract to construct the Boya Douala Road as a contractor, Jarvis Limited, I must, under 72, Article 72, show proof
that you have money
to viability to take a contract. They work from Boya right up to Miselele halfway. Then, on that execution, I have money to take a project halfway before I ask for government fundings. So the question is are the fundings there from the government? It is out of place.
Okay, now when it comes to, because some of these contractors, we are only blaming, we tend to be blaming the contractor. Some of these contractors have said...
No, I'm not blaming contractors.
No, some of these contractors have said that even when they do that, for them to receive the money now,
okay,
after doing the job halfway, becomes a problem. Reason why they abandon the contract.
This is what happened. This is what happened. These contractors, they have a legal department, don't they? They do. They have legal advisors, don't they? Cameroon is signatory to several international conventions in which if you happen not to win the case within Cameroon, you have a right to take it to the African Commission of Human Rights.
When you are signing a contract with somebody, you have your jurisdiction.
Yeah, you have your jurisdiction.
There are people who have their jurisdiction in France,
yes,
in the court of Paris.
Yes, voila. So what Oxford, Coxford, where did they take us to?
Their jurisdiction is in France.
Voila. I'm just concluding. I'm just telling you that you asked a question. I've given you the answer to tell you that they have legal issues. If you think that you have executed 50% of
the time now for them to be executing the contract, they are concentrating energy on going to court.
Legal process is part of a contract. Any job you take, you should also invest time or procrastinate legal issues. It's part of it. It's like election. Election is completed only when the legal framework is completed. Now, you ask a question that some will say, okay, they receive a contract and they execute, then they want to take their money within 50% and they are not being given. Let me tell you, do you know why those situations occur? In Kem Owo puts it in his beautiful lyrics. Agreement is agreement, yo. Agreement is agreement, yo. We don't reach for settlement. You come, they play me nonsense. Agreement is agreement, yo. You assume that, okay, you take the contract, 50, let's say 1 billion. You give me 20% of my share, right? I give you the contract because I'm the person that supervises the contract. You have executed 50%, and you want to come and take part of your money to finish the completion. And I ask you, okay, where is my share? You say you will not give me my share. That's why it's blocked. And they will not, you know why they don't take it to court? Because they know there is agreement. If not, they will take it to court. He who goes to equity must go with clean hands.
Ndiwum, we are talking about inflation of the cost of these major projects or contracts that people want. There is a famous weighing station that has been built for 3 billion francs CFA. Cameroonians are...
We are paying, you and I.
Yes. You have so many of such projects that the costs have been inflated.
You know where my fear is, Lasha. My fear is that because our generation is already a sacrificed one, we are already used to absorbing that shock. My fear lies on our children who are already indebted to what they don't know where it went to. I mean that my children who are going to class 3, class 1 today are having a huge debt on their head to pay in the future without knowing, without showing proof of how they consume it. When a nation is blessed, in quotes, with bad leaders, this is what obtains. Let me, a while ago you mentioned there that contracts have been abandoned between 2018 to 2021. 2018, 2021, right? Yes. Maybe you are being fair in your analysis, but I want to tell you that the first project or contract that was abandoned in Cameroon, that every contractor would love to admire how to abandon a contract, was the Bamenda Ring Road. Who abandoned it? The #1 statesman abandoned the first contract in the nation. So it gave an idea to every contractor that abandoning contracts was a good thing. So they're just following.
Tractors at the agro-pastoral show.
Yes, they are germinating there in Eboya, in Eboloba. This is the only country where tractors that are meant to bulldoze farms are germinating like seeds somewhere. Now we are blaming contractors today. Which of such contractors have been followed up till date? You will also discover that the lump sums that were invested in the construction of Douala Yaoundé route, which was later turned to Yaoundé Douala route, for reasons we have not been told till date.
Yaoundé Douala and Douala Yaoundé.
No, it was Douala Yaoundé route.
What's the difference?
No, there is a difference. No, there's a difference. There's a very big. I don't want us to go into that debate because it's very wide. But there's a big difference. Now, nobody has been held accountable. Another problem that I think Cameroonians must have been observing is why in the first place do we have Ministry of Public Works and at the same time Ministry of Public Contracts. This is a small nation that has more than 37 ministries that do not serve the purpose of the people. It boils back to what we say, everything in Cameroon starts and ends with political compensation. All this, like the God of Cameroon will have it. People who have been singing praises for a very long time needs to be compensated before he leaves power. So when you are talking about the money, we all know that that money is inflated. What we are told that the money has been used for, we are not seeing. And so you and I, it will not be hyperbolic to state that the money ends in private pockets. And worst of all, it does not even end in the bank accounts back here in Cameroon. They siphon it, they steal it, they store it somewhere. Capital flight now comes in. Then you discover that for 60 years of independence, there is no auto road in Cameroon. So a fellow argued with me in a sister station that a fellow young man who just joined CBDM and is still on internship, that there are auto routes in Cameroon. I was asking myself, where can you cite the auto route? Who constructed them? When? How? I have struggled and I have struggled and not seen. The size of our roads tells it all.
No, Bamenda Manfi corridor, something like that.
Well, Bamenda a cup or something like that. If you are taking that route as your example, I am afraid, I know you so well, I know you cannot mix up. That route is still not very much compared to the routes that you have in the neighboring Nigeria.
No, we are talking about our own level.
No, it is better.
What is our level?
What is our level?
Come on,
Can you, Tamajabe, excuse me, can you tell me any other country where a minister can steal 75 billion and go free? Let me tell you that in Mali, when Assimi Goïta took over, there came a time he gave 24 hours to the ministers that all the money you have embezzled, I will not send you to prison. I am giving you a maximum of 48 hours. Let 80% of the money be returned to the treasury. These are information that you can verify. I was returned. The money has been used for other developmental projects in that country. If you have a country where one man can steal 75 billion, whereas we are estimated that the population of Cameroon is not up to 30 million, which means that 75 billion, if distributed per head, every Cameroonian will not live with hunger. Now, hospitals we don't have, the money is there. Roads we don't have. Schools, children study under trees. Who should be blamed? You? I? No, the people who are responsible. Like some said a while ago, to gain your immunity in Cameroon, you must show proof that you can be able to embezzle, you can be able to steal, you can be able to lie without blinking your eye. That is how you gain your immunity in this country. And we want to think that time has come for those who are so much because the unpatriotic Cameroonians are those people up there. You and I, who are
you cannot generalize everything.
Well,
you still have some. You still have some good people.
No, but talking, if we were to take a percentage, a good chunk of them are unpatriotic.
But you cannot say.
To be a minister and you embezzle money that is meant for building of hospitals, whereas people die every day because of lack of hemodialysis, that is unpatriotism. Except you have another definition. That is proof, 100% proof of unpatriotism. To turn around, joke with money meant to construct roads. I'm telling you that routes in Cameroon have killed more than what Ebola did, but the money is there. It is embezzled. Routes in Cameroon has killed more than the lives that Corona took away, but the money is there. So what is that patriotism? I am telling you that all of this turn around. It boils around one thing: the leadership of this country is a failed leadership, and we continue to pay a price for an unpatriotic leadership. That is where
Actually, a quick one there. Yes. Just a quick one.
Before I have to hand the mic.
No, just a quick one. Before I skip my mind, there was a major contract that was given to this nation in 2008, population census. That contract, has it been executed? The execution of that contract will be made known if we know the statistics of the result. The results have not been released.
For sure.
Since 2008.
Who took the contract?
That is the question. Money were... I'm saying that this is
but we have an institution in Cameroon called the National Statistic Institute.
In 2008, since 2008 census, I say it without any iota of contradiction. If anybody wants to contradict me, you tell me the release of the official statistics of that census.
Not been done.
It has not. But huge amount of money. Do you know what it means to carry out population census in a country? Since 2008. That I still remember very well. I had a family person that worked on that census. Till now, we, the peace-loving people of Cameroon, have not had the result of that population census. Is it classified? 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23? Oh, let's be serious.
So what is the problem, according to you? Why is the result not being released?
The only thing
is it that the money was siphoned?
No, for me, I think that the only thing is maybe they are still calculating the number of people. The population was so many that they needed calculators.
No, Jarvis, let's get serious.
What will you explain that you take 2008 to 2023 to carry out a population census? That's a contract. To carry out a population census, and money were disbursed. People were on the field until now.
Yeah,
we have gone through how many cycle of elections?
Yeah.
We have gone through how many cycle of presidential election? 2011 we had the presidential election in Cameroon. 2018 we had the presidential election in Cameroon. In 2025 we are going to have a presidential election in Cameroon. How many? Do you know the population census? The population of Cameroon? Anybody that tells you Cameroon is 25 million or 30 million is a lie, because the officials, I will lay my mind on the official census that was largely done. That is where we get our statistics. When you say 23, who published the 23? How did you get the 23? What statistic gave you the 23? These are objective questions. Cameroonians are not fools. So to ask me what is keeping them, I simply say this, and I'll say without any fear of contradiction, that we must build people that love this nation. That the worth, I said it, that the worth of not respecting the rules and regulations in Cameroon, no tongue can tell. The forebearers sang the anthem, and it's a prophecy of what we're experiencing today.
Okay, so Derick, Tamai Jarvis cited a very, very serious case there, talking about the population census, a contract that was given for the census to be conducted. And you know, population census is a very, very big index for development, talking about planning, town planning, you know, other different, so many other stuff. When you get the statistics, it's going to help the state to be able to know how to manage the population and see and project. Like we have water crisis and the rest, even prisons, so many other things happen in the country, because this could be blamed on the population of Cameroon, that the government itself does not have the correct or the right statistics. Another poorly executed contract, as per what Tamai Jarvis is saying.
Yeah, thank you very much. Tamai Jarvis is coming from a very positive direction. I don't see any negativity from where he's coming from. You understand that in order to calculate the per capita income of every country, you must know the GDP, you must know the population, and then you want to know the standards of living and the cost of living of the population, of the country, of the citizens. But if these statistics are not published, which is our right to know how many of us are there and how we survive, it therefore means the leadership is a leadership of bad faith. The leadership is a leadership of blind leaders, and they don't know where they are going. Because today we are living on estimation in the 21st century. If you are asked as a journalist the population of this country, you are going to estimate we are around 25 million, 27 million, 28 million, and there is no exact figure of that. But what happens? What is the reason why census is done and results are not published? And still talking about the public, the execution of public contract, you will realize something, that this country is so fast to ban traveling agency when they have accidents in their road traps. But we have never heard that the Ministry of Public Work is banned for the failure of execution of a contract that is supposed to be executed. In 2016, I remember vividly, the statistics that were published only between Douala Yaoundé, which killed more persons in this country, we had about 2,000 persons who died and 4,000 injured, which we know is a holy lie, because more than that number died, and nothing is happening. It is because the roads we have in this country are deadly traps, and they are deadly traps, Lasha, because those people who are supposed to execute those contracts, they travel on that road on ultimatums. When the president is using the road, nobody should use it. When the Minister of Public Work is using that road, nobody is supposed to use it. You are supposed to stop for them to pass. And this does not surprise me, because in a country of accountability, leaders are accountable to the population. And in Cameroon, which is an example of every definition of what is called failure, Lasha, in 2021, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Public Work, they came up to explain to us that the budget will experience a slight increase. And you know what the slight increase should be about? Almost 1,000 billion. That's what they call a slight increase. But this country never takes to the pulpit to explain to Cameroonians, to the citizens, the percentage of execution of the contracts. This is the same country where parliamentarians and senators are offered 8 million, many millions a year to execute little local contracts. But there is no parliamentarian who goes back to the constituency to tell you that I was given 10 million to do this job, this is what I have done, and this is where we are lacking. Nobody is accountable. And trust me, in as much as nobody is accountable, Lasha, nobody can call them to account because of a certain definition of them having immunity.
Have you ever challenged that immunity?
Challenge.
You can challenge for the immunity to be
what I'm saying here is a challenge. What I'm saying here is a challenge. Do you want me to move to the parliament to challenge them? It's a challenge. And the challenge is this: no parliamentarian, you can prove me wrong, has ever gone back to his constituency. The parliamentarian presently, you know, they are working with suitcase. Their constituency is in suitcase in Yaoundé. No parliamentarian has ever gone back to give an account of their achievement. And the reason is simple. They do not represent the people. They represent their bellies. But for some few, which I cannot lay hands on, I'm just giving a few for the benefit of doubt, which I cannot lay hands on, who can talk that this is what they have done. But it is a country where the only time you are questioned is when you eye the wrong direction. Once you can embezzle state funds, embezzle as you want, and then clap your hands for the number one statesman to support the man in power, nobody questions you. And it is because we have been looked upon to be a peace-loving people. I want to appreciate Cameroonians so much for the fact that so far so good. They have loved peace, and they don't want a riot like it happened in 2008, if I'm not making errors, questioning. But trust me, in as much as we remain peaceful, our future has been mortgaged. Our future has been mortgaged by a man who borrowed 75 billion to buy us 25,000 worth laptops for us to use.
He didn't borrow, it was a gift.
That was not a gift.
A gift.
Lasha,
presidential gift PB. Yes, 4 years laptop.
Lasha, I don't.
No.
Lasha, you are journalist.
From the definition of gift.
Oh.
Gift. You are talking about borrowing.
Lasha.
Borrowing. Gift. It was
Lasha.
a gift from
He borrowed to give.
Yes, he borrowed to gift. Lasha, in pure economics terms, when you borrow money, if Ndiwum goes to the bank and borrows 100,000, and I go to that bank and I borrow 100,000, if Ndiwum buys banana to sell for that 100,000, and I take my own 100,000, I am in a club to feel free with ladies, I am going to suffer to pay back that money, and Ndiwum will peacefully pay back that money. I want to tell you that it's a burden that somebody goes to China to borrow 75 billion, not even to set up a development plan in Cameroon for us to develop local laptops, but still pays China to give us laptops that do not last 2 months. I am a witness that those laptops, many people took, some of them did not come on. Some people took those laptops and did not use it for 2 days. Some of those laptops were killed by electricity ondulation. But my child that is not yet born is going to pay those debts. That is mortgaging the future of Cameroonians. And those are wrong policies. I want to tell you, he had a good vision, but that vision was wrongly implemented and indebting Cameroon to the furthest future. Lasha.
Okay, let's take some few messages that have so far come in. Greetings to all on board. I always feel happy following you people up. Coming back to our topic of discussion about the state of routes in Cameroon and the contract awards to the various companies. It is so sad that we go far, or we go for what is cheap and not what is expensive to achieve what would last for long. That notwithstanding, all the two parties, that is the employer and the employee, take part in the route construction in Cameroon, are rated at 15% of the total initiated works, because everyone fights to get his or her own share, but not better work done. I must congratulate Mr. Derick for his great analysis. Thank you, sir. Coming back to the size of routes in Cameroon, there is no respect of norms as prescribed by the law, but rather I give you what you want to dodge away from the normal dimensions of the route. I am Daniel Kum, writing from the west region of Cameroon. This other message that just come in, we told, greetings to you all in this panel. I love the way Jarvis is analyzing the facts. Contractors will never do effective job because of the following reasons. Contracts are awarded to the wrong persons. The person finally executing the contract end up with no or even 1/10 of the money for the contract. If a contract is 100 million francs CFA and you give me 1 million to execute the contract, what do you expect me? Ako is writing from Bamenda. So yeah, Ako writing from Bamenda. Greetings to you people in the studio. Contracts in Cameroon are all mess. I know of contractors or contracts who have been paid without completion. Those who award contracts should go to the field and see what contractors are doing. It is really a sad issue in Cameroon. Kisito is writing from Bamenda. Nothing is given for free. If you don't know the price, then you are the product. Brian is writing from Bamenda. This other one says, good evening to you all in the studio. I am greetings to Senior Derick in the days of Kaskumba. Yes, Cameroon needs special prayers. Contracts in Cameroon are being given to incompetent people because of their political beliefs. Douala Yaoundé 10 years project still not completed. Look at Douala everywhere with dirt. What are the mayors doing? What are Cameroonians doing, and what do they need for them to tar their routes? That is the Bamenda ring road, actually a ring road. The only nice route we have in Cameroon is from Ngeme Junction, Limbe, to the Olembe football stadium in Limbe. Aside from that, there is no route in Cameroon. Bamenda Ekok road is falling off. Example, the road is breaking apart at Widikum. Cameroon needs at least 4-way routes, not this quarter route they construct. You say you did not tell us your name. You didn't sign your message. Please do well to sign your message when you write to us. This other message, nothing is given for free in Cameroon. I am Brian writing from Bamenda. The message is repeating itself. You wrote already and you're still sending the same message. Good evening, televiewers of my media prime. For Cameroon to change, someone that thing like any of you in the studio have to be at the head of the hem of state. The workload to change Cameroon is too much for the present regime, as all of them are extremely old and tired. They don't even know how to go about managing Cameroon. They are tired. With that being said, I am calling on to all the young generations to look at what is happening in Niger and think about it. Also, I would like to appreciate you guys for not bringing Paddy Asanga in the studio. This other message. Good evening to you all in the studio. Leaders do not have us at heart. Beki Sako is writing from Mutengene. Beki says the leaders in Cameroon don't have us at heart. That's what she thinks. Tamai Jarvis.
No,
Let us, yes, let us go back to talk about supplies of stationaries and furniture to, yes, those are some of the contracts or hidden areas that many of us don't know about. You see a pen in a government contract, a pen that we normally buy for 50 francs or 100 francs is supplied for 1,000. Those are facts that have been verified and confirmed.
Well, I don't know.
Like this pen I'm holding in the studio.
I'm aware.
We buy it for 100 francs. Somebody is supplying it to government offices for
I don't know.
1,000 francs.
Well, I used to think that maybe
they will tell you there's cost of transportation, but when you are buying en masse,
in bulk,
the price is supposed to be down.
I think in basic economics, we are told that cost of production, cost of transportation, and buying in bulk, these three aspects are interrelated. Now, to minimize cost of transportation, you have to buy in bulk. Because moving from here to Mbopi to buy one pen, then tomorrow you go again to buy one pen, will cost you higher. But when you go at once, you buy in bulk, you minimize the cost of transportation.
And they may even give you at a discount.
As a discount. And again, to note that these people are not working on their private transport makes a bad situation worse. We have state vehicles at the disposal of every public structure. I don't know. Cameroon has a spiritual problem. I think the problem of Cameroon, like I've always said about some parts of Africa, is more of spiritual, Lasha. Because there is no explanation that a pen that costs 50 francs is bought for 1,000 francs in a public office. And it is the same ink flowing out of it. This is the only country that is governed by error, by try and error method. No formula. Nobody can actually tell you with certainty who is doing what. Like, there is a message that you wrote there, and I fall squarely in place with that message. The person who says, those who are actually ruling Cameroon, even as we are blaming them tonight, they are confused, they are blind. They don't have any fun. That is the last thing left for them now, is to play with time. And it is even more dangerous at this time. Because when they buy it at 1,000 francs, we know that the government does not have any bank or any job that pays the government money. The only source of income that the government has is through the taxes that we pay. Now, every country in the world that fails to utilize its taxpayers' money well has always failed. They will tell you that what they call fuel bomb or whatsoever, they are going to buy a pen that costs 50 francs for 1,000 francs, yet they are given fuel bomb. They are going to buy a book, and at the end of it all,
these things are supplied. A contractor, for example, a private individual like myself, Lasha Kingsley, would have a contract with the Ministry of Public Works, for example, to supply stationaries.
Yes,
I think.
Are you getting what I'm saying?
It is coming back to what we said from the beginning of this program. All these things goes with percentages. It is just like somebody also have a contract of the corruption department of Cameroon that as they are sitting for an official exam, this is my own department of the contract. I have to supply. I said there are things in this country that we keep saying that one day when we shall bomb the nation with such things. Do you know that, like I'm talking about the contract, the department of corruption in Cameroon, where exam is launched, some people are seated. You know that I am supposed to give in 5 names. In the 5 names, if they are taking 3 million for ENS, the person who is supposed to put in the names is waiting just for 2.5 million. My gain is there. That is a win-win situation. So we are talking about a country where everything is bought and sold. That is bad, except
no,
what
we are
is
talking
good.
about things that
No,
are,
it is
are
there.
public. You cannot be talking about things
When-
that no. You cannot
When
be
I
talking
talk
about
about
corruption.
public exams being bought in Cameroon,
That is not a contest. So you are telling me that they call
Well-
for tenders. They say, "Come."
I said,
The womb.
but
No.
you cannot
No.
dismiss the fact that such things are being bought, and they are bought through people. They have agents. Those agents are also.
But they are not made. They are not made public. Every day we see.
They are not made public. That is why we are blowing. That is why we are
The
blowing
Ministry of
alarm.
Public Service
That's
and
why we are
Administrative
blowing-
Reform, Joseph
Lasha.
Lee himself, that minister, he has been coming out on several occasions
Yes, of course.
to denounce people who are using the name of the ministry or his name when it comes to these concours that they are talking about.
Is he free?
Lasha,
Yes.
Is he corruption
let
free?
me just add to what so you asked about these prices, the inflicted nature of these prices, right? Do we have a price control mechanism in this country? Yes, we do. Do we have a minister in charge of small and medium-sized employer price?
We do.
We do. Do we have price control
Agents.
commissions and agents that an official prices, a list of official prices of this nation? We do. The list of official prices in this nation, who draft them? The government. The government draft them. The government has contract. Asks for tender. This tender board or members tender apply for the contracts, right? That they will supply this equipment, and they apply with what? They apply with the list of the equipment they will supply.
You say, for example, you need 10,000 pens.
Yeah, so they will apply with the list vis-a-vis the amount they will buy, right? To who? A government that set aside what? The price that a pen is 50, right? Now a contractor comes and meet that same government that set the price of a pen is 50 and says it is 1,000.
And the government pays.
That same government that goes around stores and shops to say a price for this should be this, and if you are found to have increased or to you are found increasing your prices, your shop is closed down. It's a criminal offense, right? That same private contractor come and meet that same government office and say, you know what, I will supply a pen at 1,000. Now it is a government office. These lists are not top secret documents published by the government. What stops that person, the awardee of that government office, say, no, you know what, your price is too high. This is what we, as an institution, this is what this ministry has published. That a pen is not 1,000. Then, they will not say anything and they will accept it. Do you know why they will accept it? It's because, okay, yes, 1,000. Instead of 1,000, you know, say, Master, I get some 500 now inside a pen. Okay, natural. My director get like 100 per pen or 200. It's almost just done so. That's the only explanation you can give. If not, how on earth will a government mechanism that moves around shop to shop, supermarket to supermarket, to regulate prices of all commodities, goods and services, still that same government pays higher than what is fighting on the street? How do you explain that?
Someday, how do you explain?
No, it's, I'm learning. It's a rhetorical question. I'm
How do
learning.
you-
How do you explain that? You can only explain it because there is, you chop a chop. There is a manomanism involved in it. If not, it's a criminal offense in itself to inflict prices of already stated goods and services. Let me give you an example. Let's say Lasha Kingsley is the minister in charge of small and medium-sized enterprise, or the minister of economy, town planning and regional development, or whatever government office. You have decided to give a contract in this studio for people to give cameras, to supply cameras to their ministry for your communication service or department. Now, Jarvis, who is a private contractor, I'm explaining this for the common man to understand, who is a private contractor, want to come and supply you those cameras. Now, Ndiwum, who is in charge of regulation, price regulation, has published a list that a camera, a Canon DB camera, is 1 million francs CFA. in Cameroon, and Ndiwum has been going around shop by shop, which you know, to close down stores that sells camera higher than 1 million. And now I come and submit my list to you that camera is 3 million francs. A camera is 3 million francs, and you know Ndiwum, who is part of that ministry or is a ministry on its own, is arresting people. You know, it's not like you don't know, for selling camera above 1 million, and you quietly, Nicodemously accept that my 3 million per camera. Two things are involved: complexity, or you want to tell me that you're so stupid not to know that there's a sister ministry that has published it. There's something that it doesn't add up. We must tell Cameroonians the truth. That's the basic calculation. Do you know how much a ream of paper costs in government offices? Do you know?
We buy it for 2,200.
We buy it for 2,300 or 2,500, let's say 3,000. But do you know how much some offices, government offices, supply the stationary equipment? They supply sometimes for 8,000. A ream of paper. Imagine they need how many ream of paper a year. That's why you see here this contract for stationary equipment are billions or millions of CFA. And do you know these contractors? They come like a sheep clothing. They are the same people who give this contract that goes around, come and take this contract. So you ask yourself that, what is the way forward? It is simple. The way forward of this is when the common man across the 10 regions.
There is another situation. Let me stop you. There is another situation in secondary schools that we've been able to find out, which has to do with didactic materials for teachers, chalks and whatever stuff. What they give them is not often enough, but monies have been set aside for such things, which means now that at the end of every month or whatever, an individual teacher has to buy his or her own box of chalk.
Lasha, Rancho Scholar is coming. I'm happy Song here is a management,
yes,
is a manager of a school. Keep aside the government school that we know that the corruption is alarming. The private sector, the corruption, and the contract issue that I've explained is also, in fact, blowing whistle that. Let me give you this analogy. The private sector.
No, Jarvis, we are focusing on public.
I'm saying that. Okay, let me just reserve. You say public. Yes. Fine.
The private sector is only benefiting from the spillover
Lasha,
of the public sector.
Yes.
Didactic materials, right, are budgeted. That a teacher in class, let's say government primary practicing school Munyaguban, I'm using my example because they say until a lion produces his own story, and the story of the hunter will always be told to glorify the hunter. The other people can speak for their localities. Government practicing school Munya, a class 1 teacher will use 50 box of chalk, right? Boxes, right? For this academic year 2024, 2023, 2024, not so. It is in the general school budget, not so. It's given to the head. The contract now is the head teacher is asked to receive tender for this contract, right? For all the teachers, not so. Now, some of these head teachers have brothers that are contractors and friends. Say, "Bo, Jogo, that can't do this thing, so cut into two," because the teacher has no voice to fight. Who does the teacher want to go and report? Who does the teacher want to go and report to? There's what we call insubordination. Don't forget. They use the clause insubordination to sanction those who are fighting corruption in these state institutions.
Stop.
They use the clause insubordination.
You are even given punitive transfer.
People are giving punitive transfer under the clumsy nature of insubordination. For the common man watching us, insubordination is a simple way in which you say a worker, your boss, your junior worker is stubborn and does not respect you. In big words, it's called insubordination. And you are transferred punitively. We have had teachers who have been transferred to schools that teaches under the tree because these teachers question the amount of materials that were supplied vis-a-vis to the amount of material that were accepted or was voted as budget. These people end up saying that you want to who will you complain to? And that's why we are calling on the state authorities that we are not saying this thing because we hate Cameroon.
Be on the field. That's the first problem.
We are not saying this thing. If it's better for us, all of us will enjoy. And we need to be statesmen. He gave another example. Let us be realistic here. When you are going to Boya, do you know why we have traffic in that road? These people who are selling cars in Dobo, they have occupied the road. These people who are importing containers, they have occupied major part of pedestrian stretch. We have governors using that road to go to Boya to and fro. Even though they use the what called they are in what called the
pedestrian.
No convoy, but they see. Do you know on an average day for you to use that road, the traffic there is because the pedestrian track has been closed. All these containers, all these cars go to Ndobo. They have come closer to the road. They are renting the space, as some Derick said. The execution of that contract will be completed if what we call the maintenance is put into place. We are talking about execution.
The road has not even been delivered. You're talking about maintenance.
No, I'm coming. I'm saying that we are even talking about execution. We are not even talking about maintenance. Go to that road. Traffic in that road is terrible because all these containers, all these people, they have come back. There's even one at Carrefour Music. An up license has been built at Carrefour. After that, there's one that Pentagon before you go. When you're going after, there's an up license that has been built. I hear it is somebody in uniform that owns it, but it's beside the road. Now, I want to ask myself this question. Do we really love this country? The truth is, today you are in convoy. You retire. You go on retirement. You will not be in convoy. That day, as he said, the Third Republic is coming.
Some Derick. You listen to Tamai Jarvis accusing the very government that is on the field to control the prices of these stationaries, and the same government giving the contract at an inflicted, or I don't know how to put it, with the prices inflicted.
Yes. Before I go to your question, there's something I want to draw to Tar's knowledge. The private sector easily fights corruption and embezzlement because the business owners have as an objective to maximize their profit. So because of that, they do put checks and balances. It is very difficult in the private sector for you to inflate prices and go scot-free, because most of the private owners, when you give them a list of purchases, they'll prefer to call those people who know, who are business people, for them to supply. So it's quite difficult. And it's the same with this situation where you have government teachers who maybe sometimes for primary schools, they have become business people. They go to secondary schools, they go 2 times a week. They go maybe 1 time a week. But in a private sector, it's difficult for you because there are those checks and balances that are put in place by those private owners. Yes, coming to what Jarvis has said, he is very right. I am buying into all his ideas this evening, because those contracts that are awarded are not awarded to contractors. They are awarded to people who belong to the same circle of people from within. In fact, it's like you awarding a contract to yourself. That is what is happening. And when you award a contract to yourself, you don't bother to check what you have done, because it is you to check you. In normal business and in accounting, those who study auditing, we're told that auditing is simply checking of the financial statement to see if it represents a true and transparent view. But the question is usually, who will audit the auditor? Who will preach to the preacher? Who will teach to the teacher? And this is a case of public contracts that are awarded backdoors. They are awarded to themselves. If you award a contract to yourself, Lasha, you cannot check yourself. It is very difficult for you to check yourself until an external force comes in. Unfortunately, I don't know whether to use the word fortunately or unfortunately, there is what we call the Operation Sparrow Hawk. The hawkers have become the hawkies. People who are supposed to fight against corruption have become the most corrupted. And they only point a finger to you who is against the system. A case in hand, Lasha, was the late mayor of Limbe. He was alleged, city mayor of Limbe, 8 billion.
Yeah, there was an alleged that
And facts were there of embezzlement of 8 billion francs CFA. He traveled out of the country, came back freely. He only died because of nature. And nobody was there to check to see if that is true. Another example is it if Michel Fotso, who was alleged of embezzling 5 billion in Cameco. Today, he was sentenced to prison. Today, he's not in prison. He's not in Cameroon.
No, there was a presidential decree that has to do with authorizing him to go for medical attention.
Why?
Ewane Ephraim is one of those
Lasha,
who benefited from the largesse of President
Lasha,
Pobia. President Pobia used the constitution.
If you and I, who have been patriots in this country, get sick and cure ourselves, is it that the president is not seeing us to give us a decree to enjoy that same largesse? Somebody who has embezzled 5 billion is given a largesse to enjoy medical treatment for free. That's a sin against the very citizens that he's protecting.
That's a crime.
It's a crime against you and I. Because upon all the years we have remained patriotic, nobody sees us. But somebody who has stolen, remember, Lasha, what is killing us in this country, we should be very truthful to itself. I don't want to exaggerate it. The guns in the streets have not killed Cameroonians more than embezzlement has done.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. And therefore, those who are embezzling state funds are killers, are criminals, and they should pay for it. If you embezzle 10 billion, that's huge, which was meant to tar roads that are killing at least 10 people every day, times 365, you can imagine that number, which is meant to construct hospitals to save the poor masses in Oku.
As 10 people every day.
That is a huge sin against the nation. If you embezzle billions of francs that are meant to supply water and electricity, you don't know how many people might have died of snake bite, how many people have died of cholera. Because I like citing this human being, Magufuli, who after 73 persons died of cholera, he suspended all celebration to say that we cannot be celebrating an Independence Day when people are dying of cholera. And do you know the budget of the Independence Day? Very huge. But he had to suspend it to say, instead of celebrating this Independence Day, let's harness this money to take care of those dying for cholera. That is a normal country. But in an abnormal country like Cameroon, we direct money to buy bullets, we direct money to embezzlement, we direct money to host meetings that cost very high. Another example of Magufuli, where he said that minister used to rent very expensive hotels to host state meetings. And then Magufuli came in to ask, each ministry has a conference hall. Why are you renting a hotel to host a meeting? Let us host those meetings in the conference hall to save that money. And the results are visible. The only reason why we are suffering in Cameroon, Lasha, is because we are living in an abnormal country that do not see things normally.
Okay.
Things don't go the right way. If they had to go the right way, then we should be where we are, because we have all the human resource, all the resources it takes to take Cameroon to a greater height, to take Cameroon to where we need to be. But the leadership willingness is not there.
Okay, the leadership willingness is not there. We'll come back to the way forward. Let me take these other messages that we have so far. Good evening to you all, and nice discussion. Contracts in Cameroon is I chop, you chop. How I wish the Minister of Public Works is watching, but I don't think those ministers even have time to watch television. They would have repented. You say you are Peter Atem from Boya. Peter Atem writing from Boya. Greetings to all on board. I always feel happy following you people up. Now this message, we read it already. You are resending the message. Good evening to you guys in the studio. On the 21st of July, Sonara published a contract for the supply of 22 photocopiers for the total sum of 230,868,000 francs. That is 10,494,000 francs CFA for every photocopier. Wickedness is ruling our nation. How can a photocopier be sold for close to 11 million francs CFA?
That's what I was talking about. Government regulations. That there's an official price putting by
have you gone online to check maybe this type of photocopier to see
which kind of photocopier?
The photocopier that I want to buy for
industrial, you have industrial photocopier. I'm coming. You have industrial photocopier.
The photocopier that I want to buy for 10 million, is it that one that where you imagine it's just photocopy?
There are industrial photocopier.
Which kind of photocopier for 10 million? I'm saying that there is
let's agree that it does exist. The problem is, has that photocopier been able to recover the money that was used?
Yes, because there's what we call
buy that photocopier.
There's what we call Lasha want. I'm happy Songa is an economist. There's what we call want and needs. Wants are unlimited in supply. The needs are limited to supply relative to demand. Needs are the essential. What is the essential for a photocopier for 10 million, in which for where factories are not working in Sonara? Imagine one for 10 million.
Yes, it's close to 11 million francs, but there are indications that the photocopiers were industrial photocopiers. Okay, let me take this other message.
I am in a higher education family.
This other message. Good evening, sir. I am enjoying the program. One thing I want to let people know is that a culvert in Cameroon is 8.5 million francs, but do you know that these same culverts don't last for 1 year in some areas in Cameroon? A lot of kickback to tenders, board chairmen and those in charge. The control teams from government are more corrupt because what they prefer is kickback. Thus, some people live in this country as if they are on transit. You didn't tell us your name. You didn't tell us your name. Some people are living as if they are on transit. Hello, Mr. Lasha and team. I'm so happy with your discussions tonight. The problems of contracts will get well when Jesus will come back. I am Pankeng in Bangola, writing from Bangola. My brothers in the studio, good evening to you all. The problem we have in Africa with African leaders are not sorry at all. Why? How can they even be traveling to Europe all the times and seen routes there, but they cannot bring back the same routes that they have seen in Europe? You say you are writing, you are David writing from Limbe. Good evening to you all. I am writing from Bamenda. I really enjoy your program. Our country is ruled by all outdated leaders. That's why we are in this mess. All leaders. Good evening, great men in the studio. I am not in any way supporting those buying pens for 1,000 francs, but I want Cameroonians to know there is a difference between procurement and purchasing. Procurement has some basic aspects to consider, such as delivery time, quality of product, price of the product, discount offer, transportation, availability of the product, supplies, credibility, hire purchase, the payment duration, etc. I think our grandfathers buy these pens at 1,000 francs each because of this higher purchase aspect of
He's
procurement.
Supply chain management.
Yes.
We master.
Lasha, Derick is a human resource person. Me, I have done human resource.
You have listened to the message.
So whatever he's saying there, it doesn't change what we have said here.
No, I think he is right.
But don't you think that all this, yes, all these things
but
is
we're saying that the supply chain management of Cameroon is a ghostly supply chain management. Because supply chain, the cost of purchase goes with the cost price plus transportation, yes, plus taxes, plus taxes, yes, plus everything. Those things have to be added. But trust me, this pen is sold in the market including all those things. If you are adding your
so
transport,
there's
double counting.
What he's saying,
Yes.
he forgot to know that there's
So
double counting.
we understand what he is saying. You are right, but in the situation of Cameroon, you are wrong. The Cameroon situation is not a normal one. How do you buy a pen that you and I know that it is 100 francs CFA,
including taxes,
and everything? No, let's not put transportation, because payment to go to the market is at your at your own disposition. How do you say that we buy cement that we know that the government has an official price of cement of 4,200 francs? It is sold at 16,000 francs,
and that 4,000 include taxes.
This thing, sand that is taken from our very own waters in Mongo here at 65,000, 70,000 francs, it's sold at 700,000 francs. That's times 10 the price. I think you should not get us wrong.
Don't get us wrong.
Don't get us wrong. We understand that procurement, we understand that supply chain management procedure, but our government is milking us. It's making us to death, and we cannot accept that in the name of supply chain management procedures.
There's a taxpayer procedure.
Yes.
Before you take contract, you must show proof of taxpayer. You must have a taxpayer's card. Now, when we say official list or official prices, that official price carries the taxes involved. All the taxes involved. So if the government says a bag of cement should be for 4,500,
all the taxes
the government has assumed the tax of production, the cost, the value added tax, everything, right? The only thing that is exempted there,
the VAT is very high.
the only thing that's exempted is the cost, is the transportation cost of the contractor who will leave from where he is to where that product is being supplied, because the supplier who is supplying that product is paying his taxes.
And maybe the markup of
yes,
his interest.
yeah, they have his interest, the percentage of his interest, which will not be at least 50%. But this one, it is 900%, because if a pen which is 100 and you're selling for 1,000, come on.
Let me
you're talking to human resource people.
Good evening to you guys in the studio. It's very shameful for a country at the 21st century to expose themselves to that outside world and the fast developing era with images as what I see behind you guys in the studio. This is Boris writing from Buya. I say you're writing from Buya. Good evening, Mr. Lasha. Congratulations for the topic. Lasha, in 1992, when the economic crisis came, Minister Sali Dairu said civil servants can be businessmen. It is from then that embezzlement started. This is Nji writing from Limbe. Good evening to everybody in the studio. I am Lucifer writing from Kumbu. Contract given to friends or family members, and the recontractors who can go in for it, they are sidelined. This other message. Good evening, everyone in the studio. Every problem you are discussing, we are facing them in the Gambia. I am Bukari Jalo, writing from Gambia.
It's Africa now. We are using the case study.
They want to go and invade Niger now. It's countries among those that go and install constitutional order in Niger.
Okay, more messages coming in. Good evening. Thank you for their good work and you people are doing in the studio. Issue of supplies to government office goes with percentages. There is the issue of running credit in primary schools. I would like you people to address. You cannot imagine that in Bui division, I as a head teacher, I signed 400,000 francs as a running credit for my school and received but 50,000 francs. When I was complaining, my inspector told me that the DO, his friend, his DO, financial controller, treasurer, took their percentages. So what will I run the school with? You say yeah, Tafon is writing from Kumbu. Tafon Jude. Yes, writing from Kumbu. Good evening, House. Just to inform you that mayors are responsible for didactic materials and not head teachers. Call me also. This is John from Kumba. John is writing from Kumba that mayors are responsible for didactic
John,
materials.
wait, this is what happened. The mayor don't just know the amount of didactic materials to be supplied in the school. The head teacher does the budget of the school and submit now to the authority, because the head teacher that runs the school. If a mayor is supplying chalks or to the school didactic material, how many quantities is he going to supply?
Well, I think John is coming from the premises of the new law of decentralization.
Yes.
Which was just
That the city mayors and the councils.
And which are not fully.
It has not gone full blown.
1996, where is it?
It has not yet gone full blown. But what I am thinking is that decentralization in itself,
Accelerated.
from effective to accelerated, we shall finally end with failed decentralization, and we'll have to craft.
How can you accelerate and then end with fail?
But do you know that when you accelerate that, your brake linings are not well, you end up in a gutter. Yes, you are accelerating the car with wrong brake linings, you end up in a gutter. That is where we are actually heading to now in this country. Like you were talking about a while ago, I told you that all of these things we are discussing here, they fall under two words: bribery and corruption. Cameroon is the only country, like somebody said, where you bribe somebody to show you where to give the real bribe
To go through.
That is, it is sickening. It is sad. Like that head teacher who's wrote from Kumbo.
That he signed 400,000 and ended up receiving
It's a fact.
50,000
No,
francs.
It's a fact.
And when he, as he said, the financial
I add my voice to
controller, the treasurer, all receive their own.
And that is why a while ago you were putting at the third corner, and I kept telling you that it is the problem of percentages. What is the rule of an SGO in the field of an academia? Pedagogy. It tells you that Cameroon is living in the hands of chance. Everybody is a president where he is, because these administrators that we are talking, the Joe has no direct bearing with a pedagogue, with a pedagogic institution. So it's really sad.
Okay.
You discover that these people, like I've always been saying, one institution in this country that needs to be banned should be ENAM.
Okay, should be ENAM. You've made your point. I will come back to
ENAM
you
has
for the way
produced the
forward.
people who have destroyed Cameroon the more.
Okay.
What is the Joe doing with rolling credit that is supposed to be under the watchful eyes of the inspector, the divisional delegate, and the right down to the head teacher?
Okay, Sonderi, what is the way forward before I take these few messages? We are almost out of time. What is the way forward?
Thank you very much, Lasha. I think if we discuss without saying the way forward, then we are just making noise.
Very snappy, eh?
Yes. First things first. Ayijo was a dictator with a vision. Why Ayijo was busy inaugurating projects that were executed, the present president is laying down foundation stones. So, the president should shift from laying down foundation stone, where we celebrate the president has laid down the foundation stone of this, and then wait till that contract is executed and then he inaugurates them. Secondly, contracts should be awarded to those who are qualified, certified, have offices, not suitcase offices, where in case of failure of execution, we can check, we can arrest, and we can put them on account. Thirdly, if Cameroon does not fight corruption, backdoor awarding of contracts, we will remain in the same place. Then, finally, there need to be a paradigm shift of Cameroonians to think differently, act differently. We must take our leaders to task. We must ask them questions. We must ask them the why, the how, the what, the why it was done the way it is, so that at the end of it, they should understand that it is the electorate that borrow them power, and that power is given to them on loan. And if the electorates want to take back that power, they can seize it at any time. Although, when we give them power, they spend time with the military, building military to protect that power. Cameroon is for us. And if we do not stand up now to fight, we will forever cry and pay the debts of people who are old enough and do not have the energy to work. We will work, our children will work, and will still not pay the debt, as the French colonies are still unable to pay their debts.
Thank you for coming, son Derick. Tamai Jarvis.
The way forward. CONAC. The members of CONAC, I want to talk to them. These are high men of high reputation. These are men who have proven track record of integrity. Dear CONAC members, please do your work. I want to also beg on the president of this country to empower CONAC to be an independent regulatory body. Because if CONAC is an independent regulatory body, it will reduce the rate of corruption in some services a great deal. I'm not saying that it will wipe, I say we reduce. And the moment it reduces, good amount of money that would have gone for corruption and embezzlement will be channeled to the appropriate quarter and fund other projects. When Derick says something I love about the man in Tanzania, when he cancelled celebration, the budget were channeled to something else. But we have from 2020 when COVID-19 struck right up to just of recent, we did not celebrate National Day. The budget that has been, the amount that was in budget, what was it used for? How was it used? Another issue also, I want to say that when cancellations are done like that, it should be channeled towards a major project, which is say, okay, we want to supply water to this community. Conclusively, what I will also say as part of my own observation is that this nation, the people watching us, have a responsibility to hold their leaders accountable. In Cameroon, instead of the leaders to be held accountable, is the people that are accountable to their leaders, and which is not supposed to be. So we have to hold our leaders accountable, and want to know, we must understand, Lasha, that we must stand together for what we believe and work for what must be done, and love each other in all that we do. So all God's people are one. Good evening to the Bishop of Boya, His Lordship Michael Baby, and President of the Catholic University of Boya, Reverend Father Bartholomew Anyanwu.
I think that I am talking to the people of Cameroon today from all localities. If there is a contractor in your locality that has abandoned any contract, please rise up and shout. No matter the intimidation, we have gone past the level of intimidation. Be a sacrificial lamb to raise this country to the bar that we want to see, because silence will mean complicity. For those who think that they are on transit to another country, please, if you see that it is not in the interest of the country to be developed, you quit as possible as that. And again, silence for those who have refused to speak out means complicity, which is not treating this country any better.
Thank you for coming. Let's take these few messages before we go for tonight's edition of the program. Good evening to all my brothers. Do you know I have a route from my village? That's the sub-room Mbemwa route that I'm telling you. Yaoundé knows this route is start, but you need to come and see this route for yourself. The Ngwa people are really suffering on this route, but someone will tell you the audit team has confirmed this route was start. I cannot imagine. I am Roland Bulak, writing from Bem village in Ngwa subdivision. Good evening to you there. Greetings to my longtime friend Derick. This is Anabi Derick writing, just to say that Cameroon leaders are thieves without guns, but with pens. This other one, contractors have so many taxes that they pay on the market value of the goods. If you were to buy a bag of cement that costs for example, 50,000 francs, the contractor will have to pay the following taxes on that amount. 7%, which is the registration of the contract, 5.5% for tax, 19.25 for value added tax. Solomon is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, my dear intellectuals. I love the topic, very educative for Cameroonians. Writing by Kumba John from Buya. Good evening to you at the studio. The country is a corrupt country, so we are used to it. See what happened with the Paul Biya's computers. I read a WhatsApp conversation where someone is proposing to sell a job for 2.5 million francs CFA, a salary of 400k monthly. Jackson is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, my brothers. Contracts should be awarded to contractors. It must be seen and transparent. Good evening to you people in the studio. I am really enjoying your program. If one contractor has been sanctioned because of embezzlement, I hope there will be other changes. We end with this other message that just came in. Good evening to you all in the studio. Wow, your program is so interesting. I like Mr. Ndiwum's point. That's somebody that has understood Cameroon. I am called Dong Shell, based in Yaoundé. Thank you so much, televiewers of My Media Prime Television, for watching this very first edition of Prime Hour for the week that was brought to you live on My Media Prime Television with the presentation of Lasha Kingsley. At the technical desk, we have Nolinga, Ella Ewane, and Desmo Akeba. We are wishing you a great night and hoping to be back tomorrow with the second edition of the program for the week. Stay blessed and bye-bye.